Good morning and welcome to our first ever virtual MPO conference. With luck, this will be the only one we ever have to do virtually. So we're hoping, keep fingers crossed and pray for a vaccine so that we can do this again next year live in Lafayette and be back to our normal routine. This first welcome session is going to include Mayor Tony Roswarski from the city of Lafayette, Mayor John Dennis from the city of West Lafayette, and Commissioner Tracy Brown, President of the Tippecanoe County Commissioners. Not only are you going to get a welcome from them, but we're also going to hear a little bit about what I think is probably the only joint climate action plan being developed in the state of Indiana. Both cities and the county have agreed to do their climate action plans jointly and have just signed an agreement with Greeley and Hansen. So we also have Maithilee from Greeley and Hansen with us today, who will share a little bit about some of the green infrastructure projects that have already been occurring in the greater Lafayette area. So with that, I'll turn this over to Mayor Roswarski.
Well, good morning, everybody. Certainly a pleasure and an honor to be here with all the attendees to the MPO conference. As Sally said, be much better if we were doing this face-to-face and could interact, but this is the times that we find ourselves in. And so, but we certainly wanted to meet with you and to welcome you to the conference. And these things are incredibly important. I want to start by thanking Sally and her team and all of you out there in your teams, what the MPOs do in our community when it comes to transportation, pedestrian infrastructure, development, all those standards that help all of us grow and help us bring our communities together and certainly make them more livable for everyone. And I've got to be honest, when I first started, I had to learn a lot from the MPO and from the people. And I think we have all evolved in how that we're looking at our communities and how we want them to move forward as livable places, place of choice where cycling and pedestrian friendly amenities are available, and that interconnectivity with public transportation between our schools and places of employment and places of entertainment exists. So hats off to all of you for what you do each and every day with your MPOs and the quality of life and the initiatives that you bring to your community. Certainly here in the city of Lafayette, we've worked very hard on green infrastructure and looking at ways to make ourselves more bicycle and pedestrian friendly. We have completed an entire pedestrian bike plan, and when we've adopted the complete streets philosophy, and when we are building new roads or we are retrofitting roads, we are always trying to incorporate those designs, those amenities into those plans. And again, I have to thank the Area Plan Commission for helping drive that in our community. And we've tried to really take that down to the next level, and many folks in your community have probably done the same thing with retrofitting all of our traffic signals. They've all been retrofitted with LED lights and other energy saving mechanisms. Our entire city traffic signalization is on a computer software system that helps time our lights and helps minimize idling time in our community to reduce CSO emissions into the air from vehicles that are sitting around idling. We've worked on that for the last couple of years, and we're very proud of where we are with that. We're doing some of the same things in our water and wastewater with variable drives. So we have pieces of equipment that aren't running all the time anymore, that they are set, and we're using software programs to minimize and maximize when it's most efficient and at what levels we need to be running those. So again, it kind of changes from the old time where things just kind of ran and used energy and burnt power, and we're really working hard in all of our city facilities. All of our city facilities have been retrofitted and have had energy efficient studies done, and we have implemented the recommendations from those studies. So green infrastructure is something that is very, very important to us. And I know we don't have much time, but a couple projects I'd like to highlight. We're obviously a CSO community, so we have to do different things with our combined sewer overflows, but we have worked really hard as we meet those EPA guidelines to look at ways to do that with green infrastructure along with some traditional gray infrastructure where we have to do that. And so we've been able to incorporate many, many areas of rain gardens and bioswales and leaving ditches and natural estates, and finding ways to, while we're building those projects, to also incorporate and create new green space. So one of those projects, our Greenbush Street tank, is a 5 million gallon storage tank for raw sewage and stormwater, about a $25 million project. Well, during that, and it's actually built on an old landfill site. So we were able to do a couple things there at the same time: build that storage tank that we need that stops millions of gallons a year of raw sewage from running into the Wabash River, but also create a green space for the Wabash River Enhancement Corporation as we were building that. We also built the electric pump building to look like a piece of public art, and all the vent stacks look like a piece of public art. So this is becoming an area where people can use it. It brought back a area that was not able to be used back into use. And then we're in the process of building a new baseball stadium. We took all the extra dirt from digging out the baseball stadium, took down to that location, and we've created a new sledding hill in an area where we can put in a BMX bike track for our citizens. Again, we didn't have to take the dirt somewhere and dump it. We cut down the miles of transportation of a lot of trucks on our roads, and we created a new public amenity and some new green space. So we're working very hard with that. We've created a stormwater park out at our high school. We're going to be creating another one down in the Wabash neighborhood. So I'm sure my time is about up, but just a couple things here that we're doing when it comes to green infrastructure, environmentally friendly practices with cleaners that we use and different things like that. And as Sally said, I know there's going to be a presentation. We are thrilled to be partnering with our friends at West Lafayette and Tippecanoe County on a joint climate action plan for the entire county, which we are confident is going to pay great dividends for our young people and generations of our community to come. So with that, I'll turn it over to the next presenter. Thank you, Sally.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the virtual conference. I'm Commissioner Tracy Brown, and I am the rookie of this team. And thinking about that, I recall a conversation that I had with a former county commissioner about 7 years ago when I asked the natural question, what do you like about serving as a county commissioner and what do you not like? And he responded, of course, by saying that he loved helping people solve problems, but he hated planning and land usage issues because it seemed like he was always on an opposing side and pitted against a citizen. I can tell you now, I served for 8 years as sheriff prior to becoming a county commissioner, and typically people supported you. In my 6th year as county commissioner, I'd share with you that that planning land use and things like that are some of the most rewarding work that we get to do day in and day out. And I'm reminded of a well-known intersection here in Lafayette, Mayor, that's called 5 Points, where 5 streets intersect atop a hill that overlooks a beautiful downtown Lafayette. If you look out beyond Lafayette, you see the Wabash River Valley and into West Lafayette and Purdue University. It was one of the first landmarks that I learned of when I traveled here with my grandfather decades ago. And as a teenage driver, I remember avoiding the area because of the stress that it caused a great deal of stress. But as you become more confident in the area, you just realize that if you slow down, follow the rules of the intersection, you're generally going to be okay. I share this story with you because it's kind of the same way when it comes to land use and transportation planning. It's an intersection where data, history, and a vision for our future come together at one focal point. And again, just remember, if we slow down and follow the rules that are well-maintained rules, we're going to be okay. As the mayor alluded to earlier, in the coming weeks, we're going to be launching a joint effort between the cities, the county, to develop a community-wide climate action plan, where our 3 units of government have actually chosen to kind of rise above the political noise, if you will, because I think, after all, who doesn't want cleaner land, air, and water for our community? And it will absolutely be a work in progress for us, and maybe some baby steps along the way. But again, I think it's going to be very similar to the many things that we've accomplished through our MPO, that we can just do great work when we work together and have a common goal. In a few minutes, you're going to hear from a representative of Greeley and Hanson, who's going to share some information about the launch of our project. And as I stated earlier, it's going to be a work in progress for us. It's going to take time. But again, remember that 5 points intersection, and just knowing the rules and slowing down and moving with purpose, we're going to be okay. So I want to express my sincere appreciation to Sally, her staff, and everyone who was involved and had a hand in pulling this virtual conference together. Thank you all, and have a great day.
Well, hi there. My name's John Dennis, and I'm the mayor of the other city, the city of West Lafayette. When we've been talking here locally, specifically in West Lafayette, about climate control, we realize we've actually been participating to that eventual goal for quite some time. We had actually 2 mayors ago, Mayor Sonia Marjoram was one of the first mayors to actually initiate a recycling program. And that has obviously turned into something that people not only sort of select to do, but it's almost mandatory now throughout the country. But we have also had a great deal of focus on our environment. We've had environmental groups working cooperatively with Purdue for the past 25 years. And since I've been mayor, that's actually been one of our major objectives and one of our major goals. We've actually been awarded recently, when we talk about bicycle-friendly communities, we've been awarded the Bronze Award for being a bike-friendly community, and we're very proud of that. And that goes hand in hand with our unique population base. When you look at the city of West Lafayette, we've got a bunch of citizens between the ages of 0 and about 30. Then we have a bit of a gap, then picks up again at around 50. And those two dynamics are people who are generally very active and very engaged in the community. And like Tracy and Tony have alluded to, the population bases that we serve are not at all hesitant to provide us with the necessary guidance to do what is the right thing. And that's why here in West Lafayette, we have taken the initial steps to not just encourage compliance, we've also codified it through our city council. The first effort towards that was done in July of 2017, where we passed Resolution 1017, which was a call for climate action plan. And we joined the mayor's National Climate Action Agenda. And that was a big step for us. And one thing that probably makes us unique from other similar sized communities is 2 things. First off, we're not predominantly known for smokestacks. We always tell everybody that we've got treetops and rooftops, which makes us somewhat less challenged than other larger, more industrialized communities. But with that understanding, it also creates a dynamic where we have a lot of social interest in our activity. So when we do such things as joining climate action plans, we often have these subcultures that demand that we put our money where our mouth is. And that's something that we have been doing pretty regularly over the past, at least almost 14 years now that I've been mayor. We also, in conjunction with that climate action plan, it required a lot of data. And once again, we are very fortunate to have the endless resource of volunteers at Purdue University. And they come with the process involved through their academic pursuits when it comes to gathering data. But we needed to catalog and get a baseline for our emissions within our city throughout our departments and throughout Purdue University. We had to also establish some protocol for tracking emissions, which is crucially important. And that's allowed for us to be able to establish some long-term and short-term goals. In conjunction with that, we also in 2019 had to get a hold of our greenhouse gas inventory. And we worked with the Environmental Resilience Institute, which is an environment cohort that allowed for us to get some assistance with that. And also we had a lot of assistance with our population base in the city of West Lafayette. In October of 2019, we passed yet another resolution And this was a revised and resubmitted our climate action plan, and it involved all of our city departments. And our intent was to try and reduce our emissions by 20%, and then also have an intention of reducing our emissions by 20% every year after that. We also hosted a resiliency clinic, and we started to begin our community-wide planning efforts to try and make those reduction goals. We formatted a support team in 2019 in December, and that was coordinated through our Go Greener Commission. And I cannot thank Lindsay Payne, our president of our Go Greener Commission, enough, and Councilor Peter Bunder, who is also our council president, for sort of being the tip of the spear on that. Now, the resiliency kicked off in January 2020 of this year. We had a lot of specific goals, plans, courses of action, different types of things that we wanted to get involved with. A lot of that had to do with making sure that we developed some practical plans that allowed for the implementation of some of these goals and objectives. And we also had to do the necessary identification and prioritization of some of those action strategies. The other thing that we had to get involved in, and this required the cooperation of both the City of Lafayette, Tippecanoe County, and our boards and commissions, is to share our climate action plan and to make people familiarized with that climate action plan. And then we had to monitor and make sure that we were continually reassessing. So this isn't something that is just politically fashionable right now. It's something that we've been doing for quite some time. Here in West Lafayette, our community is actively engaged. We've got a lot of, obviously, they're very strong contributors to our recycling programs. They do a lot of composting, and they are very, very eager to spread the positive message of trying to do anything we can when it comes to our environment and our climate action framing. So the individual empowerment of our citizenry is also very helpful. So overall, I think that you're seeing a rather positive picture of what's going on in the cities and in Tippecanoe County. We're all acutely aware of the significance of our actions right now, and we're also acutely aware of the potential negative overall impact of not taking and abiding by the actions that we're doing right now. So again, I hope you all have a great MPO conference. Thank you for letting us all speak, and have a great day.
Great, thank you. So I'm here today as a representative of Greeley and Hanson, and as the two mayors and the county commissioner just mentioned, we were hired on to kind of manage this development of the climate action plan. Obviously, there's 3 different entities that are going into this plan. It's the first joint plan in the state of Indiana, and there's a lot to talk about. So just to have us kind of walk through that process, initiate those conversations, facilitate those conversations, because obviously collaboration and engagement from local industries, from institutions, from local businesses, those are all going to be vital for the development of this plan. So that's kind of part of my role and my firm's role in this. And I'm happy to answer any questions on timeline. Obviously, Commissioner Brown just mentioned we're going to kick this project off in a couple of weeks, so we're in the very early stages. But if there's questions about timeline, about goals, I'm happy to answer those, and I'll have my contact information up at the end of this for anyone that has questions. And if I can't answer them, I know a lot of smart people, so I'll direct those questions to them. But I also wanted to talk a little bit about green infrastructure, and Mayor Roswarski kind of touched on this. I want to expand on all the work we've done with the City of Lafayette specifically, and I can speak to that because I was a design engineer for a lot of those projects in the last 5 years that I've worked for my firm as a wastewater engineer. So I want to talk specifically about green infrastructure and also just what green infrastructure is and whether or not it affects climate resilience. And we know it does. But today I want to talk about the why of how it impacts climate resilience. So there are a lot of reasons, but I probably only have about 10 minutes. So I picked the 2 most important reasons that I could think of that's relevant to the state of Indiana. And the first one is managing floods, right? Or I should say managing the risk of floods, because obviously floods are something we're trying to get away from. We don't want floods, but we want to manage the risk of flooding. And the EPA has predicted that in the next 80 years, so by the year 2100, our average floodplain is going to increase by 45%, which seems, it seems really far away, 2100, and for our lifetime it is, but not for our kids and not for our grandkids. So they're really going to be seeing some of those effects unless we do something now. And that's something, or one of those somethings could be to reduce stormwater runoff through green infrastructure, for example. And we've seen a tremendous positive impact from green infrastructure in the Lafayette community. And personally, I've seen that in the design of wastewater systems around the city. So I'd like to share some of those examples with you today. The second reason of the why green infrastructure is so important and impactful to climate resilience is that it reduces treatment costs and also system sizes overall. So again, Mayor Roswarski just mentioned our Greenbush CSO storage tank project, and that project we were, by the CSO long-term control plan for the city, we were actually mandated to put in a 5.9 million gallon tank, so almost a 6 million gallon tank, but we were able to design and construct that with only 4.2 million gallons. So there was a huge delta there, and all of that delta is directly attributed to green infrastructure, which is really significant. So by producing that 4.2 million gallon tank, we're still able to meet our level of control that the city of Lafayette is mandated for, but we're able to just save a lot of money and resources because we're not putting in as much concrete. We're not putting in as much reinforcing steel to hold our tank up. We're not spending labor costs because construction would have taken longer. Excavation costs would have been a lot more to dig deeper for that bigger tank. So just saved a lot of resources just by doing small things like green infrastructure that doesn't seem like it would make so much of an impact, but it absolutely does. So, and for those wondering how we got to that 4.2 number, this might not be as interesting to some, but it is to me because this is my world. But that 4.2 number was really intentional. And the way we came up with that number was during the design phase of the project, we put in a lot of flow meters in the ground to measure rainfall as they're coming in. And through this real-time kind of flow data, we were able to predict what our sewers, underground sewers or force mains or large diameter pipes, what flow they're going to see. And through that data, we were able to find that the flow we're seeing in our underground sewers is a lot less than what we anticipated, than what we had to design for. And that was all because of the green infrastructure improvements that the city of Lafayette has installed upstream of our system. So out here, upstream of your collection system, you're capturing all of your stormwater through green infrastructure, whether that's rain gardens or bioswales or permeable pavers, and we'll talk about that in a second as well. You're capturing all of that storm, kind of that sanitary part of a combined sewer up here. So by the time you get to the downstream end of your collection system, where you actually have to put in your CSO tanks, your all the flow that goes to your treatment plant, you're treating a lot less because your storm's taken out of that combined sewer. So all you're left with is your wastewater, the actual flow that you're supposed to treat. So our treatment costs are going down, our sizes of our facilities at wastewater treatment plants are going down, and you're just saving a lot of money there as well. So with that, I want to share just a couple of pictures. So the one project I wanted to talk about today was the Brown Street sewer project. And the Brown Street, it says permeable paver project, but really this started out as a sewer project. But we were also, as a bonus, were able to put in a lot of green infrastructure. We put in approximately 1 mile of paved drain, which is the permeable paver you guys can see right here on two sides of the street. We were able to put in 7 rain gardens. We did full roadway constructions. We did 6,000 feet of curb replacement, and then 600 feet of sidewalks were also replaced as part of this project. And that was all because of the dollars we saved by having to put in smaller pipe, because we didn't have as much to treat due to all of this green infrastructure we put in previously. So this project we put in paved drain is the name of the product, and it essentially is just some crushed stone on the bottom with a mat, and then on top you have these concrete blocks. And essentially what it does is just act like a huge pond, a retention pond below your streets. So it's kind of like a rain garden, except you've got the added bonus of, you can actually park your car on both sides. You're not compromising on on real estate on your streets. So originally, this design for the Brown Street Sewer Project, we had considered dry wells, which to think of dry wells, you can really just think of a large diameter manhole, and it has an open base such that your stormwater can infiltrate. But we realized that with dry walls or dry wells, you're not really providing an aesthetic value to your community. You can, they'll function just fine, but with these paved drains, you're adding a little bit of color to your street. You're adding a little bit of that old downtown charm with, your buildings, historic buildings that have brick on them. You're kind of matching that look, and you're just upping that aesthetic value of your community, which was an added bonus that you wouldn't have got with a dry well. So we were able to do that, but the other bonus is that they're also very easy to maintain. The cleaning is super efficient. The city staff take a vac truck out there, and they can just suck up all this dirt. So you'll see a before and after here, which is pretty significant. And obviously, that's one of the things we strive to do when we recommend products for wastewater is, maintaining the product shouldn't be that hard. So this is a finished product on a rainy day, which means, it had been raining all day that day, but you can barely see any water flooding by your curbs and your sidewalk, which used to happen on the street a lot. So the product has definitely proven to be successful. There's hundreds of examples of this all over the city of Lafayette, but this is one I wanted to share with you because it has a significant impact on what we've done. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. If you haven't seen this product work, I really recommend that you go to the City of Lafayette's Facebook page. And if you go to videos and scroll down all the way down to 2017, I think it was September when we tested this product, we were able to test this product by getting a huge city fire truck, and the truck dumped 2,500 gallons of water into the street right here, actually, where you guys are, where my cursor is. They dumped 2,500 gallons of water right here, and within minutes, and that video is 3 to 4 minutes long, but in that 3 to 4 minutes, you see all of that 2,500 gallons of water just immediately being captured by this permeable underground paper that's in there. So pretty significant product, and like I said, it's had a tremendous impact on our design since then for other facilities, other CSO facilities in Lafayette. So just another product there that I wanted to highlight. With that, I know I don't have too much time, but I wanted to have my contact info up here if anyone has questions about the action plan or any of the information I presented today for green infrastructure. I'm happy to share that. And I'm also happy to talk to you about the climate action plan or any ideas that you might have.